Hello, sixth grade. Today we are going to talk about different types of angle pairs. So just as a reminder, an angle is formed when we have two rays. So a line that has one endpoint. When we have two rays that meet at the same vertex, that is called an angle. And so sometimes when we have two angles, we are going to have different angle pairings. And depending on that, we have some special rules. So we might want to stop and pause the video every once in a while so you guys can write some things down. But we are going to go ahead and get started. So our first type of angle pair are complementary angles. Complementary angles are when we have two angles and when we add them together, they have a sum of 90 degrees. So in this case, we have angle ABC, which is 37 degrees, and angle DEF, which is 53 degrees. So if we add those two together, 37 plus 53, we need to see if those equal 90 degrees. So 7 plus 3 is 10. And then 1, 3, and 5 is 9. So 90 degrees. So that means these two angles are complementary angles. So complementary angles are ones that add to 90 degrees. So if you want to pause here and maybe write down what complementary angles are, that might be a good idea. Next, we go to supplementary angles. So supplementary angles are going to be, again, two angles that when we add these ones together, they are going to equal 180 degrees. So we have angle GHI, which is 57 degrees, and angle JKL, which is 123 degrees. So if I add these two together, 123 degrees plus 57 degrees, it should equal 180. And it does. So these two are supplementary angles. Our next type of angle pairs are adjacent angles. So this is when I have two angles that have a common vertex. So I usually think of them as right by each other. That means that they are adjacent angles. So in this case, angle MON is adjacent to NOP. They have that same middle letter, so that means that their vertex are the same and they are adjacent. The next type of angle pairing is a linear pair. So this is when I have a straight angle or a 180 degree angle, usually, actually all the time, and it is cut into two angles. So I have angle ABD and angle DBC. These two angles, since they are not only adjacent, they're right by each other, but they make a straight line. These will add to 180 degrees. So the measure of angle ABD plus the measure of angle DBC equals 180 degrees. Okay. So not only is a linear pair adjacent to each other, they are also supplementary. They add to 180. And then our last type of angle pairing are vertical angles. So this is when I have two angles that are formed by intersecting lines. So I have line AEB and then line DEF, the angles that are across from each other. So like in this case, angle AED, and then also, so angle AED is across from angle FEB. So these are vertical angles, and they are then congruent, or they are the same measure. So we have another set of vertical angles here. That would be our other set, our AEF, angle AEF, which is right here. Oops. That is vertical to angle DEB. And since they're vertical, that means they have the same measure. So like, then if this angle right here was 120 degrees, that means across from it would also be 120 degrees. So now let's practice identifying different angle pairs. So we want to decide if each of these are considered adjacent. So reminder that adjacent angles mean that they share a common side and a common vertex. So in this first example, we have a straight line that is intersected. They are they adjacent? Yes, they would be adjacent because they share a common vertex of B. Angle ABC, ABD, and angle CBD are adjacent. So now if we look at these angles, so remember, to be adjacent, they need to have the same, share a common side and a vertex. So these ones, maybe we label this as E, F, G, and H. This angle, angle EFG, and angle HGF, they share a common side, but they do not have the same vertex. So no, these are not adjacent. They are not right by each other. And then lastly, this one, I'm going to label this real quick as angle IJK, and then M and L. So we'll pick out our two angles. So this one right here is IJ and M, and this one right here, KJL. Now, we need to go through. Do they share a common vertex? Yes, they both have the same point J, but they do not share a common side. So these ones are also not adjacent. Okay. So now let's go to vertical angles and determine from our drawings if anything are vertical angles. So starting here in this top one, I'm going to call this W, V, Y, Z, and X. So looking at angle 1 and angle 2, are they right across from each other? Yes, they are. So these ones are vertical angles. Because I have two intersecting lines. Now looking at this next one, I'm going to call this G, L, M, K, and N. Now I have a ray that is cut either in, one is perpendicular, LK cuts GM, but then we also have KN that cuts it towards the bottom. So remember, to be vertical angles, they must be formed by two intersecting lines, and they must be across from each other and congruent. So 1 and 2, while they're across from each other, they're not congruent. So these ones are not vertical angles. Okay. Now, let's decide if two angle pairings are going to be complementary, supplementary, or neither. So remember that complementary means they equal to 90 degrees, and supplementary means they add to 180 degrees. And if we get any other number besides those two, it means that it is neither. So all we have to do is add these angle measures. So we have 60 degrees. And 30 degrees, 0 plus 0 is 0, 6 plus 3 is 9. So they add to 90 degrees, that means they are complementary. Then we go to our next one. We have 130 degrees plus 50 degrees. When we add those, we get 0, 8, and 1. They add to 180 degrees, so that means they are supplementary. Now let's check our last one. 113 degrees plus 67 degrees. So 7 plus 3 is 10. 1 plus 1 plus 6 is 8. And 1 plus nothing, 180. So again, these are supplementary. Okay. So here are a few more practicing. Let's pause the video here and let's see if you end up with the same answers as I do. Okay. So remember, if they add to supplementary, or if they add to 180, they are supplementary, and if they add to 90, they are complementary degrees. So if you have not, go ahead, pause the video. Okay. So let's check. We have 110 degrees plus 90 degrees. We get 200 degrees. So these are neither complementary or supplementary. Now we have 97 degrees and 93 degrees. Again, 10. 1 plus 9 plus 9 is 19 degrees. So still too much. So this is again neither. And then lastly, we have 45 and 45. 5 plus 5 is 10. And 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. 90 degrees. So these two angles are complementary. Okay. So that's not so bad. Lastly, we might need to try to find the value of x. So if it was 90 degrees, it would have this red box here, and I forgot to label that. So this is a 90-degree angle. So in order to find our missing measure, we can just do the opposite. So we know that complementary angles add to 90 degrees. So if we write out our equation, it would be 43 degrees plus x is equal to 90 degrees. So now we just have to work backwards and subtract 90 minus 43. So I have to borrow 10 minus 3 is 7. 8 minus 4 is 4. So this other angle, angle x, is equal to 47 degrees. Okay. So then in this next one, these angles are adjacent, so that makes them supplementary. They're a linear pair. So we know that supplementary angles add to 180 degrees. So we have 75 degrees plus x degrees equals 180 degrees. So to undo this, we are just going to subtract 180 degrees minus 75 degrees. Have to borrow again. So 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 7 is 0. 1 minus something is 1. So that means that this angle is 105 degrees. Just try one more. We can pause. You guys can pause too to see if you can figure this out. But otherwise, we know that these two lines are intersecting. So that would make them vertical angles. So when they are vertical angles, that means our angles are congruent or they are equal to each other. So we will just set these two angles equal to each other. 3x is equal to 45 degrees. So now I just have to think. Opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I will do 45 divided by 3, which means that is 15 degrees. So x equals 15 degrees. Okay. And that is it for today. So that means you guys can get to work on your worksheet. If you have questions, I'll be back during your study hall. So you can do that. So you can come ask me. But otherwise, go ahead and get started.